Good evening, and welcome to the Greene County Partnership's panel discussion with the 8 candidates running for the office of Greene County Mayor. I'm Judge Ken Bailey, and I'd like to first thank the Greene County school system and Chuckey Doak High School for letting us use their auditorium here this evening. I would like to introduce the moderators for this evening's event. John Jones, Jr., who is the editor of the Greenville Sun, and Ron Metcalf, Vice President and Chief of Operations of Radio Greenville. Also, to assure that each candidate is given the same amount of time to respond to questions, we have an official timekeeper this evening, Brian Cutshaw. Brian is the online director and webmaster for GreenvilleSun.com. Brian will be assuring us that each candidate stays within the allotted time for their opening and closing remarks and in their response to the questions. Prior to the panel discussion, each candidate will have 1 minute for opening remarks. On a rotational basis, each candidate will be asked to respond first to only one question. The moderators will be alternating in asking the questions, and all candidates will have 2 minutes to respond to their questions. They will be expected to conclude their remarks within that time period and will be monitored closely by Brian. At the conclusion of the questioning, each candidate will be given 2 minutes for closing remarks. In the interest of both time and fairness, we do ask that the audience refrain from making comments or applauding during the program. Please don't hiss or boo or clap or do any of that. Following the closing remarks, there will be an opportunity to show appreciation for all of these candidates. Both John Jones Jr. and Ron Metcalf have prepared the questions, which have not been shared with the candidates in advance. We are also taking written questions from the audience that will be presented to the candidates as time allows. We ask that if you have not already submitted your written question, that you do so within the next few minutes. If you'll go ahead and raise your hand now so that we can collect those questions. We will review the questions to remove all duplicates from those, and then those will be provided to Mr. Jones and Mr. Metcalf to ask the questions. At this time, I will turn the program over to Mr. Metcalf and Mr. Jones, and the evening will begin.
Thank you very much, Judge. We'll now begin with the opening statements, and we will proceed in alphabetical order from Mr. Arwood right down the line. When we come to the questions at the end of the opening statements, we will again begin at the top of the alphabet. If we get past 8 questions and we go on to 9 and 10, we'll come back up this way. Each candidate, remember, will have 2 minutes to respond to the same question. So everybody is equal on that. At this point, let me just ask Mr. Arwood to begin.
All right, hello, I'm Josh Arwood. I have a bachelor's in history from Millikan College. I'm an educator in Greene County Schools. I've worked in conservative politics for several years. I'm a lifetime member of the NRA. I've done work with Northeast Tennessee Right to Life. I have a very simple platform: open government, lower taxes, less spending, and free market economic growth. I have with me some pledges that I want to sign. One is the Taxpayer Protection Pledge. It says, I, Joshua Arwood, pledge to the taxpayers of Greene County that I will oppose and vote against any and all efforts to increase taxes. I have another that says, I pledge to the citizens of Greene County that except when related to a state authorization of force, I will consider all spending open for reduction and vote only for budgets that present a path to balance, and vote against any resolution or bill that increases federal spending, against the authorization or funding of new programs without offsetting cuts in other programs. I have extras with me. I would love for the other candidates, if they're willing to stand up for the taxpayer, for you to sign these as well.
Hello, my name is Hoot Bowers. I live in the Cedar Creek community of Greene County and have all my life. My wife is Nancy. She's sitting in the audience. I have a son, Lynn, a daughter-in-law, Jessica, and a grandson, Braxton. I was educated in the Greene County school system, graduated from Walter State and East Tennessee State University. I'm a Vietnam veteran. Served 12 years with the Greene County Sheriff's Department, and 20 years with the Tennessee Alcoholic Beverage Commission. I served on the school board for 8 years. 2 of those years I was chair. I presently serve as a county commissioner, and I have 15 seconds left. Thank you very much.
Good evening. Thanks for each one of you that's come out tonight, and for those that are listening to this on the radio, and following up with newspapers being covered by them. My name's David Crum. My wife Louise is here. We've been married 25 years. I have a bachelor's in business administration, a master of arts in criminal justice from East Tennessee State University. Just would like for each of you to evaluate each of the candidates and choose the one that you believe is best suited for the office and position of mayor of Greene County. Thank you.
I'm Kenneth Lamb. I've been married for a little over 19 years. I've raised 2 beautiful stepdaughters. I've also got a grandson. I'm employed with Crown Tonka Walk-ins, which I've been employed with Crown Tonka for a little over 15 years now. I've been a team leader for a little over 10. I'm also a volunteer firefighter for Limestone Fire Department that I've been a member for over 20-some years now. I'm also a captain in that department. I've been a captain for over 15 years now.
My name's Eddie O'Brien. I'm a high school graduate. I've worked with the State Department for quite a few years. I've carried USPS mail contractor over West Tennessee, Dyersburg, Columbia, Tennessee, South Nashville. I've worked with the Missouri Department of Education for about 8 years, and the International Airport, St. Louis County. If I am elected mayor of Greene County, I will cut costs in every department. Thank you, and please vote for Eddie H. O'Brien, your next mayor.
I am Brett Ferguson, a Republican candidate for Greene County Mayor. I'm a lifelong resident of Greene County, and I believe that the next county mayor should have 3 key attributes. I think that county mayor should have the values of the people of Greene County. I think he should have a vision of what Greene County can be, and I think he needs to be a leader who listens and learns and makes decisions based on what he hears from the voters. I am Brett Ferguson. I appreciate your vote. Thank you to the Greene County Partnership. Thank you to Cherokee Oak High School. Thank you to everyone involved tonight for making this possible. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Cliff Shelton. I am a candidate for Greene County Mayor. First off, thank you to the Greene County Partnership for providing this exciting venue for us tonight. This is the first time for me in anything involved like this. I'd like to say I have my wife with me tonight, Lisa Shelton. I have 2 wonderful stepdaughters, Grace and Rose Davis. I believe that Greene County is the most wonderful place for anyone to live, and I love it here in Greene County, and I intend to try to make the best mayor for Greene County that I possibly can. I appreciate your consideration, and vote for Cliff Shelton for Greene County Mayor.
I'm Eddie Yoakley and was born and raised here in Greene County on a small farm in the Glenwood DeBus community. My wife of 35 years is here tonight, and she's employed at Ermco Components. We have 2 sons, Jordan and Tyler. I graduated from South Greene High School and received my BS degree from East Tennessee State University, and am a certified public administrator designated by the UT Institute of Public Service. I'm a licensed auctioneer and real estate broker with more than 30 years experience. I believe my life work experiences such as farming, owning an auction, real estate, and appraisal business, working in the factories, being a Vietnam era veteran, and being the local assessor of property for 12 years, and the state representative representing the 5th District for 8 years gives me valuable experiences and knowledge that would help me lead as mayor of Greene County. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now begin the regular questions, the rotation of questions. The candidates will pass the microphone from one to the other. We will repeat the question every other person, in other words, first, third, so forth. In addition, if anyone would like for us to repeat it in addition to that, we'd be happy to do that. There's no trick question. We're trying to bring out in these questions what you think and how you're different from one another. The first question is this, for Mr. Arwood, and then we'll go down the list. Greene County's total budget for all departments, including education, tops $80 million. How does your experience up to this point in your life prepare you to oversee Greene County's finances?
All right, thank you for the question. Well, I'm a family man, have 2 kids, a wife, a mortgage, managing all of that, just like regular people here right here in Greene County. A lot of people are upset at how the budget's been managed up to this point. A lot of people understand the budget is getting out of control. I'm the candidate who wants to see Greene County go to a zero-based budgeting system. A zero-based budgeting system will set each department at 0 when the fiscal year is over. Each department head has to come and state what exactly they need money for, the expense that it'll cost. This will cut down on pork in the budget. If pork gets in the budget one year, it's automatically out the next year. It's unlikely to come back. Zero-based budgeting will save the county a lot of money if we go to that. I know we're going through the home rule situation right now. With that home rule, they're going to be able to come up with some rules and regulations that can help with the budget matters. I hope to see that succeed, and I hope to see it get us in a situation where we can cut the budget. As I said, a lot of people in Greene County are upset because we see our elected officials keep giving money to projects that are unneeded. For example, just this year, $10,000 was designated to go to Nicewater Performing Arts Center. We had the county commission vote to increase that to $30,000. Why the county budget is giving money to the Nicewater Performing Arts Center, I have no clue. That's the type of stuff we need to cut. The Greene County Partnership also got over $126,000. This is money that is not part of the essential things government needs to run on. Thank you.
The budget that we're talking about is in excess, it's around $86 million to be exact, and we have a $30 million debt. Now, the $86 million budget is set by the county commission each and every year, and I think I've gone into a brain lock, but I'll get it. I'll pass David and I'll come back to that. I have a response, but I don't have it right here.
I'll read the question again, just because it's the third version. Greene County's total budget for all departments, including education, tops $80 million. How does your experience up to this point in your life prepare you to oversee Greene County's finances?
The budget is a good-sized budget, but a lot of times I hear people complain about taxes, but I don't hear people complaining about the services they receive. They tend to a lot of times want more services. I think my life experiences, having worked at Bank Box years ago and seeing the need to consolidate and look at each area. Each department head oversees their own budget. It's brought together, overseen by a Budget and Finance Committee. The County Commission eventually votes on that. And so as we bring those things together, the ability to work with each department head is a skill that I think I bring, to be able to talk to them and let's start breaking down some of the services that are being provided. One, are they essential services? And one, are they services that the public's willing to pay for? I'll address the impact. That money was returned to them based on money that was generated from the hotel motel tax. So it's actually putting money back into an area that's generating revenue. So I think the impact is generating revenue, it's bringing people in, it's promoting our community. That also goes with the partnership. People are out there trying to take the jobs we have, and we need to promote and go out and work to retain and recruit businesses. And they're not going to do that for free. It takes money to go out and recruit businesses, and we need professionals that are doing that all the time. Thank you.
Well, even if you're an $86 million budget, if you run your own budget at your own house, I mean, you save money. So I think if it's $86 million or $500, as long as you're willing to save the taxpayers' money, then that's the way we should do it.
Let me read.
My name's Eddie O'Brien, and I demand a cut in all departments. I will cut it at least $40 million if I am elected.
Would you like for me to restate the question, please? Greene County's total budget for all departments, including education, tops $80 million. How does your experience up to this point in your life prepare you to oversee Greene County's finances?
I am an 18-year commercial industrial construction veteran. I've managed projects, I've budgeted projects, from small projects up to multi-million-dollar projects. I've managed health insurance, business insurance, human resources, many different aspects of our business. And I think that experience has taught me a lot about budgeting, about the way that you perform checks and balances on those monies. I think that's an important part of this job. Obviously, the county commission sets that budget, and it's the county mayor's duty as the chief financial officer to carry out that budget and be the fiscal agent for that. Again, my construction experience, my common sense and education also would have a play in that too. I have a couple of college degrees, but I think the common sense that I learned in the tobacco patches and in the hay marts of Greene County probably suit me just as well as the college degree, so that would be my answer.
Good evening again, I'm Cliff Shelton. I do have the background. I have a Bachelor of Business Administration from East Tennessee State University with a major in management. I spent several years in what you would consider big box stores, working on budgets, payroll budgets, sales budgets. Some of them were in the multi-million dollars. Whether you're talking $5 million or $80 million, you're still going to end up dealing with a lot of percents. And those percents will end up having to be met. And I think we are probably facing quite a few challenges. The deficit that we are facing right now will have to be addressed. And all of those figures, once they're in, will have to be assessed by the individual, by the mayor, along with the trustees, and try to solve that problem as far as how much is going to have to be cut where. I would prefer to see us continue to get jobs. Economic growth is the key to everything here. If we get jobs in here, if the county partnership continues doing the things that they're doing, we continue to see economic growth in Greene County. The budget will kind of become a self-correcting thing. More tax dollars because more jobs. So I think a lot of that can be self-corrected without having to raise taxes, but just looking at it from a positive aspect by getting more jobs in Greene County. Thank you.
I think this is an excellent question. And I think foremost, I think me raising a family, having a business, working in the environment, in factories, and for myself, as a taxpayer and understanding that perspective before I go to be mayor is very important. My professional experience, I was a real estate broker for more than 15 years, sold millions of dollars of property. I was a fee appraiser, which will help me in this mayor's position, because you know, you're dealing with figures and properties and things every day. I've worked as a county official for 12 years as the assessor of property, a very hard job in Greene County. But I worked with budgets, even worked a little bit with the actual budget, because we had to appraise the properties that are taxed. I understand that part of it. I also was a state representative in Nashville. I was elected to the Fiscal Review Committee, which oversees the state budget, which is more than $30 billion. It's a very big task, but it was excellent experience for me to be able to come back and possibly be the mayor of this community, because I do have the practical experience and I will apply it, and I know that the next mayor will have to make some hard decisions along with the commission and do some things we've not done before. We're in uncharted waters for our budget, and we're going to have to do some things, and I'm willing to take the leadership and responsibility to do that and do it as a professional job for the people of this community.
All right, thank you very much, gentlemen. Our second question, we'll start with Mr. Valeries this time to go down the line and then come back up with Mr. Arwood. Greene County is currently 114 out of the 135 school systems in the state of Tennessee when it comes to pupil spending. The state average is $9,293 per pupil. Greene County is more than $1,000 less than that at just over $8,000 per pupil. As county mayor, the question is, would closing that gap be a priority for you? And if so, how could you increase funding for education in Greene County?
Closing the ratio that you were just speaking of is very important to me. However, the tax revenue in Greene County at this time just won't support it. I would be tickled to death to bring our schools up to the level that all the schools in the state are. But we've got people out here that are out to work, and they can't afford to pay any more taxes at this time. Now, I want to get back just briefly. I failed on what prepared me to oversee a budget. I was chairman of the school board for 2 years while I was on there, and I helped to prepare a $30 million school budget. At that time, the school budget now is $46 million. But we've got to, I don't think anyone is against our schools having the amount of revenue that other schools across the state are, but we just don't have those funds at this time. Thank you.
Mr. Greene, you want me to repeat the question? Yeah.
One of the things we have to also look at is what percentage of the budget goes toward the schools. And I will admit I don't have that off the top of my head, but just ranking isn't always the best answer. What percentage of that goes toward the schools? I'll use an example. I had a young man come to me one day and he said, we need to buy more buses for the schools. Kids are on the buses too long. The buses are big, they take up a lot of county roads. We need to spend that. So I talked to Dr. Kirk through that out. She said, well, you've got other issues going to play there too. One, you've got to find drivers. That's hard to get. The cost of buses. So it's easy to say, let's just put more money into it. That's a concerted overall thing that the school board has to look at, the director of schools, the education committees and things, is how do we continue to move forward, not just putting money into programs. How do we get our school system to raise and continue to educate kids, and what services are we providing to them? Schools have no choice. They take whatever students come their way and whatever mandates come down from the state. And that's what's getting us a lot of problems, is the work to deal with some of the mandates that are coming down from the state and federal level on what schools have to apply resources that could go into education doing other things.
Mr. Lane, the question again, summarize. Greene County is more than $1,000 below the state average on spending per pupil. As county mayor, would closing that gap be a priority for you? And if so, how could you increase funding for education in Greene County?
Well, that would be important, But at this time, with our budget, I don't think the citizens of this county can afford to do that right now. Because we do not want more than a tax increase, and that's what would result, is tax increase. And we have enough tax increase going on right now. So at this point, we could not raise anything, so it is a priority.
Proposal is to set a new budget outline and come up with federal 100% funding for all schools and et cetera costs. But we don't need a $50 million budget set for education in Greene County. If we do that, why not go metro government and come back and get the 100% federal funding and partial state funding and no taxpayers' dollars? Thank you.
Mr. Ferguson, would you like me to repeat the question? The state average in spending per pupil is $9,293. Greene County more than $1,000 below that, at just over $8,000 per pupil. As county mayor, would closing that gap be a priority for you? And if it is, how would you do that and increase funding for education in Greene County?
First, I want to say that obviously I'm a supporter of education, the education system in Greene County. I think we have a very dedicated group of staff and educators and parents and other members of the school board and of the central offices that care about the children in Greene County. I think they do a very good job with the amount of money that they receive. Our total budget, from what I understand, is about $45 million a year for county schools. Approximately $32 million of that comes from the state. So that means that Greene County taxpayers put in about $13 million. As has been mentioned before, this is a terrible time to increase taxes. I have a total commitment to Greene County schools. I don't know, however, that just throwing money at something will fix the problem. The state mandates that come through from the state legislature, I think we need to look at those. I think we need to work with our state representatives and state senators and work with people on the state level to maybe reduce some of those mandates and look at some common sense approaches there. Absolutely, the Greene County school system is a priority, but I don't see how we can do that, or we can increase the funds to the county school system until we come out of this, so to speak, economic slump that we're in right now.
Thank you very much. Would you like the question again? Okay. Greene County's spending per pupil is about $1,000 below the state average. As county mayor, would closing that gap be a priority for you? And if so, how could you increase funding for education in Greene County?
Of course, closing the gap would be a priority for any mayor. I don't think throwing additional funds into the pot is going to solve that situation. I think we've got to find better ways. We've got to find more ways to motivate the students. I was fortunate to receive a county, an excellent county, and yes, I said county education right here in Greene County. I attended Doak Elementary School and then Chucky Doak High School, and I felt like I got a wonderful education. So I don't think it's the teachers. I think that perhaps we may be confusing the students. I attended the Common Core meeting the other night, and a lot of these things, the new things that are coming down the path, I think are more confusing for our students than anything. And I think that's more of a reflection of where they're at in the standing, 114 out of 145, than just throwing money at the problem. I think finding more and creative ways to teach the students is a great thing, but the Common Core I don't think is a very good situation for our kids. I think we're just adding additional pressures to them by limiting their thought processes like that. So I think that's the answer to the problem. Not additional funding, definitely not taxing additional.
Would you repeat the question, please?
Greene County is currently 114 out of the 135 school systems in Tennessee when it comes to per pupil spending. The state average is $9,293 per pupil. Greene County is more than $1,000 below that at just over $8,000 per pupil. As county mayor, would closing that gap be a priority for you? And if so, how would you increase funding for education in Greene County?
Thank you. I'm really concerned. We're not funding our budget today. And I've always backed education, and what's more important than these children? Our future lives of these children that are growing up. Ladies and gentlemen, we're in a competitive world that we've never been in before. A child today, compared to a child when I was in high school back in the 60s and 70s, I could go to school and I could get a job. Children today will come home and can't get a job. And I'm leading into this because we're not funding today's present budget. I am for education, but the first thing I want to do is meet with the new county commission, whomever's elected, and meet with them. And we're going to have to work this thing on a long-term issue to do it, because we've got a whole lot more problems they're grinding at us right now. We're not, again, we're funding that budget less than we're spending more than we're funding the budget today. We've been spending our savings for the last several years. We're down to the end of the tunnel with no money, and we're coming out getting ready to pay a bunch of bills, including education and the others. So, you know, we've got to have some type of drastic change, and I look forward. I want to work together. You cannot do everything at once. And we're going to have to prioritize and be able to work together so we can do the things as we can do them. And we may have to do a little bit at a time. But there's nothing more important than education for our children.
Thank you. Then we'll come back to the head of the table, Josh Hartley.
All right, zero-based budgeting. That does prioritize spending. Let me say a couple of things. If my kids, I've got 2 kids, if they don't receive an education, you know whose fault that is? That's mine as a parent. You know, in this issue, it's not just about money. DC funds more money per pupil than anywhere else in the whole country, and they've got one of the worst systems. You know, people just aren't going to support more taxes. Taxes are off the table. We have teachers doing a fine job. I'm a teacher. We do with what we can. If we don't have anything in our classrooms, we're in an empty classroom, we're still going to find a way to help teach your kids. But I do find it kind of curious and a little hypocritical that we're willing to fund Not Smarter Performing Arts Center, but not fund our schools. That just kind of hits me a little weird. But I am glad to see that you're defending it for it. You know, and Impact sells tickets. That's where it makes money. Businesses sell their product. That's where they make money. The government's not supposed to be funding private organizations. It's not the government's role. And it's interesting that you bring up taxes since you were on vacation when the last tax increase came up. And it's also kind of curious that the 2 sitting next to me, Mr. Bowers and Mr. Crum, both voted for over $200,000 in new taxes just this past September. Luckily, the rest of the commission helped vote it down.
We're going to move on to the next question now. We'll start with Mr. Crum. And it deals with this budgetary issue. In recent years, Greene County has gotten into a pattern of spending more than we are taking in from various revenue sources, mainly property taxes and wheel taxes. We have therefore been balancing the county budget by using the county government savings to do it. If you were elected county mayor, how would you structure a county budget that stops using savings to pay for ongoing expenses?
You're right, that's a good question and a difficult question, and that's why states and counties build in rainy day funds, is to have that little bit of savings that hopefully will not continue on and that the economy will turn around. This isn't the first time we've had downturns in the economy. I remember in '78 when I graduated college, it was hard to find a job because interest rates were 17, 18, 20%. You know, but eventually we come back out. There's a little better industry base and things then. We're going to have to, Mr. Yoder said, take a concerted effort at those areas as to how much more can we spend in our savings. Just like we do at home, sometimes when a bill comes in, we pay it out of savings and pay it back. There comes a point in time that you have to stop. I'll address Mr. Arwood seems to be really concerned about my taking a vacation. Apparently he thinks Mr. Bowers and I went together on a trip somewhere. My wife and I had a vacation planned for many months whenever our daughter and I was coming in from Venezuela and her friend, we were going to Savannah. We had that planned, the meeting was called, set the budget, and my family is important to me. We felt like that was an important vacation for us to go. If that makes a difference in your vote, then I'll take my family and my vacation. We had not been on one in 10 years, but we did come back early when my mom was put in the hospital. Okay, so that's the important thing to me. So you choose. If it's vacation is the reason you're going to vote against me, that was a priceless vacation and tremendous memories for my family and I would do it again.
First, we should eliminate all wasteful spending because we waste too much money right now. And I honestly believe if we eliminate wasteful spending, we won't have to dip into our savings. And if we always should be in a saving mode, not just when in a recession, we should be saving money all the time, not just part of the time.
Would you like for me to repeat the question? In recent years, Greene County has gotten into a pattern of spending more than we are taking in from the various revenue sources, mainly property taxes and wheel taxes. We have therefore been balancing the county budget by using the county government savings to do it. If you were elected county mayor, how would you structure a county budget that stops using savings to pay for ongoing expenses?
Moderator, I would freeze all county reserves until we definitely do have control of the budget, as well as coming up with some extra revenue on job development. Because the main thing is education is vital for Greene County, but we got to overburden the entire system of education and bring in less cost for our community, as well as set up a freeze on the reserves, as well as use what we have for education. And if it needs to be, all staff will be cut if we put down the budget for education. The other thing is, we've got to control spending in every department, not just education. Education is going out of the south by the one that does the budget. We've got to revise the budget control mechanism of the mayor's office. I will control the budget as well as all funds if I am elected your Greene County mayor in this election. Thank you.
I thought they were going to give us easy questions. I think we do have to remember that we are in a declining economy right now. We have been since about 2008. I've been in the construction business, and since 2008 has been some of the toughest times that I've seen in Greene County and in Northeast Tennessee. I think that we need to be optimistic about our economy taking an uptick. I think we're seeing that as far as our business, the construction business, has started to receive, we've started to see more business, money's coming through. So I think we have to be cautiously optimistic. But I think we also have to be conservative with our budgeting process. You know, it's our rainy day fund or our general fund balance affects so many different things. It's not just the amount of money that we can possibly draw from, but it also affects our bond rating. It's much like when we go to get a mortgage at a house. What's your financial status? That's one of the things that's looked at when we do issue bonds or ask for bonds. So I would look at conservative budgeting and see where we can cut and reduce costs.
Do you want the question again, Mr. Jones? In recent years, Greene County has gotten into a pattern of spending more than we are taking in from the various revenue sources, mainly property taxes and real taxes. We have therefore been balancing the county budget by using the county government savings to do it. If you were elected county mayor, how would you structure a county budget that stops using savings to pay for ongoing expenses?
Good evening again, Cliff Shelton. If you are borrowing from your own savings to, quote, balance a budget, then you're not really balancing your budget. Whether that's in a county situation or whether that's in your home situation, if you're having to borrow from your retirement or from your savings or from wherever, you are not balancing your budget. I'm looking forward to getting in with the group of county commissioners that you are about to elect, plus hopefully you're about to elect Cliff Shelton, Greene County Mayor. I'm looking forward to getting in there, rolling up my sleeves and looking at these budgets and seeing where we might be able to cut. I don't know what percentages or anything at this point in time, how much we can cut, but we're going to you either have to get more income, and that means we have to have jobs. We have to have jobs in this county. We have to continue to grow the county. We've got to be looking toward the future. Yeah, I understand we have some challenges based on the past and some non-balancing of the budget, but we can balance going forward, and I think that's the outlook that we need to look at, that we can start fresh in just a few months. We're going to be starting fresh, and we can balance the budget with the people that we get in there with. And I'm looking forward to cooperating with all the county commissioners and getting in there and balancing this budget.
Would you repeat it one more time, please?
In recent years, Greene County has gotten into a pattern of spending more than we are taking in from the various revenue sources, mainly property taxes and real taxes. We have therefore been balancing the county budget by using the county government savings to do it. If you were elected county mayor, how would you structure a county budget that stops using savings to pay for ongoing expenses?
Yes, I talked about that on the previous question quite a bit, but one thing that we need to really help our public understand too, Greene County needs a fund balance, and it's my understanding we probably need $5-6 million in that balance to operate this county government because of the amount of money that we're spending. Now, if you don't carry that, there are rules that penalize the county government when they go to buy bonds, and every county has to buy bonds. I am very concerned because of what I see happening. You know, we don't have that fund balance. We're in a cycle, and the economy has been down, and the interest rates are at the lowest in history. What I see happening, there's only one way for interest rates probably to go once they get this recovery coming. And we're positioning ourselves here in this county that we're going to take a heck of a lick if we don't change what we're doing. And here's why. If that interest rate jumps, then it's more of an outlay for all the expenses we have to pay on those bonds. But what if we get penalized and the interest rate jumps? And that's likely to happen, ladies and gentlemen, if the economy recovers, because we're not going to have 2 and 3% interest rates forever. I know when I started the real estate business, I remember my wife and I got a loan for 14%, and we were happy at one time because they were 18%. It took every dime we made to pay interest on our home that year. We just happened to get caught and have a short-term loan. Well, this county can get caught like that, and that's what the mayor and the commission's for, to try to work around and prevent that, and as your mayor, I'll do that.
Mr. Arwood.
I just want to refer back to the taxpayer protection pledge that I signed. I'm telling you, no taxes. I'm making that pledge to you. Referring to this pledge I signed about reducing spending, that's another pledge I'm making to you. As I've talked about, zero-based budgeting. We need to get serious about our spending problem. Government doesn't have a taxing problem, it's a spending problem. We need to quit funding these private organizations. I've read the candidate questionnaire. Either you were defending them or people were waffling on the issue. That's not part of what government is supposed to fund. And here we're talking about spending. Those are the types of things that we have to cut. The things that are not essential parts of government. And up here on stage, I've heard defense of pork in the budget. I've heard defense of this. It's not something we can continue. You know, back in the 80s, back during the time of Reagan, they had this saying that had to do with drugs: just say no. That's something government's not learned. Government needs to learn to just say no.
You want me to repeat the question? In recent years, Greene County has gotten into a pattern of spending more than we are taking in from the various revenue sources, mainly property taxes and real taxes. We have therefore been balancing the county budget by using the county government savings to do it. If you were elected county mayor, how would you structure a county budget that stops using savings to pay for ongoing expenses?
We've reached a point that savings can no longer be used to prop up the budget. Looking at next year's budget, what it looks like, we're facing, just to keep things like they are right now, we're looking at a 5 to 6 cent property tax increase. Now, we can do one of two things with that, and only these two things. We can raise taxes 6 cents, or we can cut services. As county mayor, I would not recommend raising taxes. And back to the issue of vacation. Regular meetings of the county commission are the third Monday of each month. This particular, I had planned a vacation to go see a golf tournament for a year. Unexpectedly, the meeting was moved to the second Monday of the month. I went on vacation. I don't owe you, sir, an explanation or anyone else.
Start our next question with Mr. Lee. The makeup of the county commission will be considerably different after the general election. 10 commissioners chose not to run for re-election, and several others face opposition candidates. As county mayor, how will you go about choosing committee appointments, and what qualifications will you look for in the commissioners that you nominate to those committees? Again, as county mayor, how will you choose committee appointments, and what qualifications will you be looking for in commissioners that you nominate to those committees?
Well, I would be looking at who would work with me in cutting our budget and saving the citizens of this county any more tax increase. So if anybody that is for a tax increase, I definitely would be looking at them.
It's common sense of a mayor to run the county in a top official guidelines from the state budget control office of the U.S. Treasury. The U.S. Treasury is where the money goes. I have delivered several items to the Department of Treasury for a long time. Thereby, we need to keep Greene County in tax with keeping the budget under control and no taxpayer dollar being used. This government services is from the federal government. Park State as well, but also private individual is given a certain amount. I have done some private work under the fire department. I sent a letter to the governor on funding the fire departments as well as they could, if they are liable for the donation to the departments in every county of the state, because they need the funds for operation and expense. Thereby, I will not impose a tax increase on the public if I am elected your county mayor coming up in May the 6th. The main thing is, I would love to have your vote as well as your participation in the meetings I will have. Thank you and have a great day.
Mr. Ferguson, question again. The makeup of the Greene County Commission will be considerably different after the general election, with 10 commissioners choosing not to run and others facing opposition candidates. As county mayor, how will you go about choosing the committee appointments, and what qualifications will you be looking for in commissioners that you nominate to those committees?
Well, I think I would use a lot of the same HR approaches that I use in private business. Talk to the commissioners, or maybe go through an application process. Obviously, there are many different committees in the county commission, and I would probably talk to or ask them to do something kind of like a resume. I think would be a pretty good idea, and go through those resumes and see about how the folks are qualified properly for, see what their work experience are, see what their professional experiences are, and then find those people that are best suited to serve on those committees. Budget and Finance Committee, if you have a CPA in the county commission, I think that's a no-brainer. Some other committees, for instance, I'm not sure what it's called, but the Animal Committee, I think we have some commissioners that are associated with veterinarians or veterinary services. I think it's a common sense approach, really. I think you look at the strengths of those commissioners that you have, allow them the opportunity to ask you to be on those committees, and go forward from that.
Good evening, Cliff Shelton again. I think I would take a little different approach. I realize that we're probably going to have a lot of what you would consider rookies in these positions, in the position of commissioner. But I've been out on the campaign trail with a lot of these people. I've seen them in a lot of Ruritan clubs. I've seen them at different places. A lot of these people, as do a lot of the people of Greene County, as the citizens of Greene County, we share a lot of the same moral, ethical, and I'm going to say it, yes, Christian views. And a lot of these people, all these people so far that I've met, seem very energetic, seem very willing to help. I don't think it's going to be a difficult task to choose people that are willing to get on board and help their county. They're already running for these commission seats. They are already concerned about the citizens of their district. So I don't think it's going to be a difficult task to pick people. I think it'd be a more difficult task to limit how many people are going to be willing to help the mayor in this position, because we all share this same desire for Greene County. We want to see it moving forward. We want to see it moving into the future. And I think that we have a great opportunity to do this with this election. It's going to be a lot of a clean slate, you might say. And I think that's a good thing. It's a fresh start. And a fresh start's not always a bad thing.
One of the things I prided myself in Nashville when I chaired committees in the legislature was the fact that a lot of people don't agree with you on issues. That's healthy. That's a good democracy. I want to put people on both sides of an issue where we can debate, but yet I want knowledgeable people on each of those committees. For instance, that CPA for budgeting. According to which committee, if it were something to do with the animal control, I'll put people that have interest on it, but mix it up enough to where we can get to the government. because democracy works if we work it right. The problem is we're not working some of it right, and I look forward to being able to work with those commissioners. Who do you deal with in life? People you trust. I want those commissioners, I don't care whether they're Democrat, Republican, or Independent. I want to work together with them to do things for this community that will help our community improve and continue to prosper or come back. Our job situation, I'm not sure it's going to come back fast. I don't believe it is. And you can't export all of your jobs. I'm throwing that in here, maybe it shouldn't be, but you export all of your jobs, the middle income goes down, and you can't expect them to pay more taxes and buy more all the time. We've got to come back. I want to thrive with this community and be aggressive, try to recruit some new industry, and continue to do the things we need to do so we can put those people on those committees and they can make the decisions without all the duress over the money problems we got.
Mr. Arwood, would you like the question repeated?
No, thanks. All right. Obviously, you've got to go by strengths. If somebody's got a strength for certain things, you put them on a committee that meets those strengths. You've got to also look at political philosophy. You've got to put somebody who's got a philosophy that's going to deal well with the people's money in situations where it's dealing more with money. So you've got to look at both strengths and political philosophies. And you've got to look at what their understanding of the role of government is. They've got to understand that this is a constitutional republic. We serve the taxpayers. When we start thinking we don't serve the taxpayers and we don't answer to them, then we've got problems.
I believe the question was dealing with committees.
Yes. As county mayor, how will you go about choosing committee appointments? What qualifications will you be looking for in the new commissioners that you nominate to those committees?
Very simple. Take a request from the commissioners as to which committee they want to be on, as to their expertise, and appoint them to that committee accordingly.
This really is kind of one of those easy answers, I guess, from Mr. Bowers and I, almost having been on there to know how the committees are made up, usually by choice. The mayor puts out a list of various committees and you put your name down on those committees that you choose, and it gets massaged a little bit. Like some committees, let's say animal control has a commissioner from each district that represents on that committee. And they help me, but I think road committee is one of those, and some of the others, and some are very small. I serve on the beverage committee. That's a committee we meet monthly, and it's usually a cut and dry thing. So you usually put down the things that kind of has to get shuffled around a little bit, but in the end, the commission ultimately votes for that committee, and we can pull out if we want to disagree with who gets on one and pull that out and place the people on there themselves. So ultimately, the commission has the say on who serves on a committee.
The next question, we'll start with Mr. O'Brien. For the last few years, overcrowded conditions at the Greene County Detention Center, the jail, have been a serious problem for the Sheriff's Department and potentially for the county as a whole. Various solutions have been suggested. How do you think the county should deal with this situation?
Keep crime down and don't pay no more money out, period.
Would you like to pass it down to Mr. Ferguson?
This is one of the most complicated issues facing Greene County today. We have a jail that was designed for about 158 inmates. I think about 13 of which it was designed for about 13 female inmates. Right now we hold, if I'm not mistaken, I think there's 300 male inmates and 100 female inmates. A suggestion that I would make, or a possibility, would be the active monitoring bracelet system, the ankle bracelet system. I've done a little bit of research on it, looked at the costs associated with it. That coupled with a reduced bond amount would possibly free up some space. Right now we have pretrial state prisoners, and these are people that have been arrested on state felony charges. They're awaiting trial, and we do not get compensation from the state for these people. The only time we get compensation from the state for any prisoner is after they have been sentenced. And depending on what the length of their sentence is, if it's 3 years or under, they stay in our county jail. If it's 3 years and 1 day, they go to state prisons. So I think if we can get some of those pretrial state prisoners out, which I think are about 135, roughly 135 prisoners, if we can work some things out there and couple the reduced bond amounts with the ankle bracelet system, I think that's something we look at. But ultimately, it's the county commission's decision on what to do about the county overcrowding at the detention center.
Do you want the question repeated? For the last few years, overcrowded conditions at the Greene County Detention Center, the jail, have been a serious problem for the Sheriff's Department and potentially for the county as a whole. Various solutions have been suggested. How do you think the county should deal with that situation?
Well, the county jail or the detention center has been a concern. I've out knocking on doors and stuff, I've heard this very concern. I don't think that we can spend the money that's needed to build an additional jail right now. So we don't have that. I also don't think that, I think that if you do the crime, you do the time. I'm sorry, that may seem a little old-fashioned, but the overcrowding is an unfortunate situation, and it may become a serious situation as far as if the state makes any, or federal makes any mandates upon the county. It can become that. I was encouraged to see that the last full reporting that we had, the full statement that we had, the unemployment rate as of January in Greene County has dropped. Typically, you'll see a correlation. When the unemployment rate drops, crime rate drops. Some of this may be somewhat self-correcting. It will not correct itself entirely, but it will relieve us maybe from having to deal with the state situation in that long enough so that we can make some long-term plans. I've heard the suggestion, let's try to get by as cheaply as we possibly can. Well, you still get what you paid for. Even today in 2014, you get what you pay for. I don't think that's the best answer. So I think we're going to have to look at a proactive approach to this and start planning something for the future. I don't think we can afford anything right now. It's not in the budget. And I know you hear us talking about so much about the budget. It's not in the budget. We've got to cut the budget. And it's not there. But we've got to be looking at something so that when things do turn around, and I'm looking at this from a positive aspect, that things are going to turn around in Greene County, that we're going to continue to grow, that a lot of this will become a self-correcting situation.
Gee, I wish some of these parents would do a little better job and love their children a little more. And I think that would lower that rate. So I believe that, to answer that question, we're going to have to know. Of course, there is a possible federal court ruling that might come down that would order the mayor or the commissioner, if anyone else wouldn't have too much say-so once you get that order. So we've got to look. If I'm mayor, I'm going to find out a lot of facts before I commit to anything. I want to know what are the options, the pros, the cons, what will it cost, how is it going to impact our taxpayers. I don't think any of us can say we won't do it if a federal judge says we're going to do it. But at the same token, we can be proactive and do what we need to do at the proper time if we have to. So I think, and we're sitting here, we're talking about we can't spend $8,000 on a student, and yet, do you know what it costs to keep a prisoner? I'm not sure in the Greene County jail, but I know when I was in the legislature, it's about $25,000 a year we're spending for that. Maybe more now. But, somehow we've got to get that back, and hopefully we wouldn't need all those. But we're going to have to, be reasonable as far as if there is a federal court order that would come down. And I'm certainly for funding education and all the other things, and let's work around this thing. And again, like I said, in the other issues, we've got to take this a step at a time, because we're at the end of that tunnel. There's so many different areas that are lacking right now. I'm an optimist, but we're going to have to work hard to get out of where we're at, ladies and gentlemen.
Mr. Irwin, do you want the question repeated or not?
No, thanks. All right, let's get a few things straight to begin with. A new jail means more taxes. Right off the bat, that's off the table with me. I could possibly go with the anklet system that Mr. Ferguson's talking about. Whatever it is we do, we're going to have to get creative. I'm not going to support anything that's going to force a raise in more taxes. If something comes up that's going to cause a raise in taxes, I will use the mayor's veto authority to keep that from occurring, or at least slow it down. If there's something that comes down for us to where we have to correct the problem, we will look for the cheapest, best solution that's out there. We have to be good stewards of the taxpayers' money, and this is just one of those instances where we're going to have to look and be creative with how we do it.
A few months back, we voted on this issue of building I believe it was a $30 million jail. I voted against that, but, you know, sooner or later, we're going to probably be forced to do something. The two jails that we have now, the large jail was ordered by federal magistrate in mid-1970s. The workhouse, I understand it was a court order jail. Now, we just got to decide, I understand the taxation part of it. Do we want a court ordered jail, or do we want to be proactive and try to create some more space to house these prisoners? Probably what we need is like a governor of Georgia said one time, we probably need a better class of prisoner. But we can't dictate what we have in jail. But I do not favor a tax increase to build a jail. However, I don't look forward to being forced to build a jail by a federal judge. And also, let's get something else clear. Whichever one of us becomes county mayor, we can't build a jail. County mayor can't build a jail. The only people that can pass funds to build a jail is the county commission. The county commission controls the purse strings, and the county commission only. The mayor can make recommendations, but the county commission is the ultimate sayer of the tax dollars that are spent.
You know, it's just a societal issue, and it's not an easy answer. It's one of those that's going to have to come up with something eventually. We're eventually going to run out of space. We're eventually going to have to add some beds. When and how is the difficult thing that we've got to look at. There are different options. Drug court's been really good, and those individuals that get caught in drug charges that really want to get off, but that's easier said than done. Judge Bailey is in here, and different people in the drug court. It's been very successful in some cases it's not. You know, ultimately, we have to protect society from criminals. And coming up with ankle bracelets is good things, other alternative sentencings, but you know, the sheriff has to put people in jail that prey on other people, and sometimes they prey on guards. We need to think about our people that are there working. They prey upon the other inmates, and we have to keep people safe from each other there also. You know, those are people's family members also. As much as we want to say, well, lock them up and make it tough, you know, we still got to provide humane treatment for individuals who are in jail. I think we're going to have to look, we've got a lot of long-term issues that we're going to have to look at within the next commission. Schools are some, older facilities, the jail populations, and how are we going to deal with that are issues that's going to have to deal with in the next 4 years. We can't just continue to let them go. And how we deal with them in the most effective manner that the county can afford is, I sure wish we had a good answer. We could hold up here and say, you know, I know what the answer is and I can do it, but I don't. First, we should have never gotten a practice of housing federal and state inmates for money, because if we've housed all of them, that's what's got us in this mess of overcrowding. First and foremost, we should turn the jail back into a jail, not a jailhouse. When criminals go to jail and they got more rights than the law-abiding citizens of this town, there's something wrong with that. We need to do whatever it takes to convince them the jail ain't a place to go to hang your hat. When you got more rights than the citizens got, there's something wrong with that. And then next we should target crime in this town, because we all know crime is what's the leading cause behind the jail overcrowding. It will take the citizens of this town to get together with the law enforcement. Let's run out the crime in this town. Let's not let Greene County be a target for crime.
Thank you very much. We'll move on to the next question.
Our next question will start with Mr. Ferguson. An ouster from office suit was filed this year against an elected official for the first time in anyone's recent memory in Greene County. What is your assessment on how the issues with the clerk's office were handled, and how would you have dealt with that situation if you were county mayor?
I think transparency in government is an essential component of county government. Some of the facts, obviously, I'm not privy to. Some of the detailed findings that were held in closed-door session, I simply cannot comment on those things right now. Here's what I will say. I think anyone that takes an oath of office should be honest. They should have work ethic. They should have integrity. And there should never be a question of why they're doing this, why they want a public office. So, to answer your question, integrity is a must. Honesty is a must for any employee. And this is a simple Greene County value. It's not something that we expect out of our elected officials. It's something that we expect out of each other. So, in saying that,
Mr. Shelton, the question again, in summary, what is your assessment on how the issues with the Greene County Clerk's office were handled, and how would you have dealt with that situation if you were county mayor?
Well, we're looking at this, of course, from hindsight. And to begin with, when the accusations first came out, you have to take all of those accusations seriously, but then again, you have to investigate those things first. And I think that would be a proper thing to do, is investigate those things before you make any decisions. We now can look at it and say, oh yeah, the ouster suit was a proper thing to do, and it was. But before that, there had to be a lot of investigation going on. The first thing I would do, since I'm not an expert in the area, would have contacted the county attorney. I mean, just to protect myself and the citizens of Greene County from any potential harm or any other further accusations, for that matter. The biggest thing that concerned me, I mean, you know, we all look back at it now as a thing of shame. The thing that concerned me most when I saw all of the information, and I got most of my information from the newspaper, was the potential or the thought that there was money missing, more so than the other situation. When we start messing with people of Greene County's finances, that's something for us to get a lot more upset about. But again, you know, we're looking at this from a hindsight situation, and it's easy to say, well, we could have done this or we could have done that. But you have to take things in a proper manner and keep it, give that information to the citizens of Greene County on an as-needed basis to protect our children and stuff. Some of that was information that just didn't need to be out in a big hurry. So I think that, you know, again, we would need to investigate and then proceed from there after consulting with our county attorney.
I think you have to investigate when things like that come up, and I wasn't privy to the information about exactly what happened other than what I've read in the newspaper, so I don't think I could fairly judge it, but just reading the newspaper, I know the commission was briefed and private and all that, and you know, I just have to trust their judgment on what they did. If I were mayor, I would know more, and I would take different types of action possibly. I don't know. I've got to have the facts before I would be critical of anyone.
Mr. Arwood, any question in summary? What is your assessment on how the issues with the clerk's office were handled? And this is as it pertains to the office of county mayor. And how would you have dealt with the situation if you were county mayor?
Like Mr. Yoakley said, I'm not privy to a lot of the information that was going on behind closed doors early on, but you know, it was something that we were hearing a lot about, a lot of information, misinformation. It was really hard to know what was going on, especially early. Things probably didn't go as quickly as they should have or as we would like for them to have, but ultimately it sounds like the process worked. It sounds like the county hired the attorney pro tem. The attorney came in, the suit went forward, there was a resignation, and everything, you know, ultimately worked its way out in the end. As I said, you know, maybe not as quickly as we would have expected, but the process worked ultimately. You know, we're a nation of laws. As long as we're following our laws, the Constitution, you know, things generally seem to work out.
I think that just about everything has been said that can be said about this issue. The process worked.
I agree, Mr. Arwood summed it up well. It was a difficult process for all of us on the county commission. I mean, we're dealing with people that we know and worked with and stuff for many years, and you know, to look back and say, should this have happened or that, ultimately things, you know, worked out, I believe, in the best interest of the county.
I think the process was too slow, just cause the buddy system. We got to eliminate the buddy system in there. This guy should have been caught a long time ago. It just blows my mind that nobody in that office wanted to come forward to trust our elected officials. Where is the trust in our elected officials? Nobody wanted to come forward and say nothing because they could not trust nobody. So if I'm elected, I will restore trust back in that office.
I will keep very well on the trust and the ethics commission is what I'm working under. The ethics commission is there for protection of each individual. I will guide it through my trust and honesty and integrity on all of it.
Mr. Shelton, we'll start with the next question now. And this will follow up on the one that has just taken place. If you are elected county mayor, how would you go about, how would you go about building up the trust and confidence of the people of Greene County in their county government?
Well, trust is a primary thing for the Greene County mayor. It's all about trust, and I think that the easiest way to build trust is to show yourself trustworthy. You've got to have the same, as I mentioned earlier, we've got to have whoever's in this position's got to have some of the same moral, ethical values that you, the Greene County citizens, have. And I believe that I have those values, the same values that the majority of Greene County, the people that I've spoken with, we have those same values. We share those things. We share a concern, we share a love for Greene County and its citizens. We share a vision for the future for Greene County. And all of that, it takes trust. And you're going to have to, we're going to have to all make that choice, who we believe will be the most trustworthy person in that position, that will make the same type of choices that you would make if you were in that position, if you were the county mayor. And that's ultimately going to be the choice of the citizens of Greene County, where you're going to put your trust. I hope that you will put your trust in Cliff Shelton for Greene County mayor.
This is the question. If you are elected, how would you go about building up the trust and confidence of the people of Greene County in their county government?
I would continue and do what I've been doing my whole life. I try to do what's right. I try to be a Christian. And I make those decisions. We all make mistakes. And if I make one, I won't admit it. I do want to admit if I make a mistake. I think that, as I said earlier, who do you deal with? You deal with people you trust. The first commitment I will make as county mayor is to let those members of the commission know. I want them to share with me. I want them to tell me their feelings. I want them to talk to you, get your feelings. We can make this a better government just by working together. And, I just think, I'm a firm believer if you do what's right, you don't have to tell everybody what's right. They know you're doing what's right, because the public's pretty smart in the end. Thank you.
Do you want me to repeat the question?
Yes, please.
If you're elected, how would you go about building up the trust and confidence of the people of Greene County in their county government?
Well, there's a few things I would do. In U.S. Congress, we're starting to see some of the newer officials come in, like Justin Amash, who gives an explanation on every single vote that comes through, tells why he voted the way he did. As county mayor, I would explain why I either veto or sign anything that comes from the county commission. We're going to hear a lot about open government. We've heard a lot about it already. But, the state of Tennessee, they record and even stream live all committee and regular meetings there at the state. Some local governments across Tennessee do the same, and they even record and play on local television those local meetings. That's something I would like to see here in Greene County. Complete transparency in government. If people can see what's going on, they're not afraid to approach you. I don't think I'm somebody I think I'm approachable, willing to talk to anybody. Those are the types of things that are going to restore trust in our government. As elected officials, those elected officials, they need to start looking at themselves as less leaders in the community and look at themselves as, servants first off. Because not only are you a leader, but you're also a servant because you're elected by the people.
I would also be transparent. I've heard that someplace before, I believe. I would keep the commission and the elected officials informed so they can keep their constituents informed. I will be available to the public at all times. And while we're at it, I've heard this word veto come up a couple of times, and the veto, if you do not serve as chairman of the commission, you have veto powers. And if I'm elected, I will not serve as chair of the commission, as Mr. Robbie said he would. But if there's 21 members on the county commission, if there's an 11-10 vote in favor of something and the county commission, the mayor vetoes it, they come back next month, and if the same vote is 11-10, then the veto is overridden. It takes a simple majority to override a county mayor's veto. Thank you.
The trust comes back to your commissioner, and it helps to keep them informed. If you keep them informed of what's going on, then they're the closest people that are your neighbor. You've got 3 people in 7 precincts that they can communicate with much easier. So I think that helps by keeping that open dialogue with the commissioner. I'd kind of like to incorporate a monthly letter from the mayor published through social media and traditional media outlets so that the public can kind of understand some of the things that might be going on in that office. I also think it would be good to stream live the government channel, our committee meetings, our commission meetings, so people can look at those and review and see how commissioners or the dialogue is going in the meeting and what's going on in each one of those activities of your government. Thank you.
I'd have an open door policy where anyone, commissioners, elected officials, even the citizens, could come and see and talk to me and tell me what they thought. As far as trust, the first thing you got to do is get away this buddy system. The buddy system is what God sent us. So I would do away with the buddy system.
The main thing is use common sense and knowledge that you learn throughout the years. Everybody is of age to do the job for the mayor, and the public is your boss. I will honor the taxpayers' decisions at any time, 24/7, and bring this budget crisis to a halt and increase revenue as soon as possible if I am elected your mayor of Greene County, Tennessee. Thank you.
I think transparency, again, is the hallmark of good leadership. Currently, our county budget and our county audit are posted online. I would look into taking that a little bit of a step further and posting our check register online. That money is your money. The money that government pays out is coming out of your dollars, out of your pocket. So I would look into posting the check register online. I think we need to look into streaming or at least videoing our commission and committee meetings. And also, I think I would be interested in hosting some community forums where forums like this could happen, but we wouldn't do all the talking. We'd get questions from folks like you on a one-on-one basis to find out what's on your mind. What do you think about this and that? And maybe host those quarterly or monthly, whatever, or as the need arises from time to time.
Ready for Mr. Gopley? What changes would you propose to make to bring new jobs and industry to Greene County? And what emphasis would you put on industrial recruiting and economic development?
Ron, could you repeat the first sentence?
Sure.
I didn't hear you.
What changes would you propose that would help bring new jobs or new industries to Greene County? And what emphasis would you put on industrial recruiting and economic development?
Yes, you know, back when I was in college at East Tennessee State, I was a geography major, took urban planning courses, which I, by the way, will have me as a mayor too. But I remember there was thousands of new industries opening in this country every year. Thousands. We only had a few thousand communities wanting all those thousands and thousands of new companies. Today, and I may not have the numbers exactly right, but you'll get the point. There's probably 9,000 or 10,000 communities wanting a couple thousand plants or less. And it's very competitive. You've got to do what it takes. Otherwise, the industry's going to go somewhere else. So we've got to provide an environment that industry can survive in a competitive manner. And it is through competition. I don't necessarily agree with what I like and see the way it works, but we've got to be competitive. And if we're not competitive, we won't get the new plants. And, we've got to protect the environment. Granted, I was a geography person, and I want to protect my environment for our children. But at the same token, we've got to be aggressive. And I think as a mayor, I will take the lead. As I said, I've had those urban planning courses, and I know what the industrial recruitment is. I was on the industrial committee in Nashville too, which again is a better experience for me to help this community. And I will continuously get out and promote my my community. I found one thing that the last 20 years I've been involved in government is the fact, if you go out and talk positive about your community, if you're on vacation or whatever, sometimes you land something there. They'll come and visit you or they'll do something. And we've got to continue to recruit industry to be able to get it today in a competitive manner.
Thank you, Mr. Yoakley. Mr. Arwood, would you like me to repeat the question?
Go ahead, please.
Okay. As mayor of Greene County, what would you do to help bring more jobs and more industry to Greene County? And what emphasis would you put on industrial recruiting and economic development?
Okay, well, this is an issue that will help alleviate our spending deficit problem. With the debt, you have new business come in, that's a growing tax base that we need. Right now, we've got a cycle of people losing jobs, people having less money to spend, so they spend less, which means these businesses are taking in less money, and it just creates this cycle. If we can recruit new business in, that will help the cycle. That's part of what the partnerships vision is to do, is to bring in jobs. But can you always expect just them to be the ones doing it? I mean, can you expect them to bring in all these new businesses when maybe they've got somebody that's part of the partnership, and do they really want a competitor coming in that's going to compete for Greene County money? So as far as I'm concerned, it will be a free market approach. As mayor, I will call places up, I will recruit them, sell them on what Greene County has to offer. Greene County's got wonderful people out there that would love to have jobs, making more money. We've got the U.S. nitrogen plant that's come in to our area that's going to bring some needed jobs, helping expand the tax base. But one thing we have to be careful of, we can't do corporate welfare. We can't take the taxpayer money and say, here, we're going to give you part of the taxpayer money to come in. We can't, offer these different things to these businesses, say, we're going to give you a special tax rate. Those are the types of things government shouldn't do. That's just as bad as a lot of the things we're seeing in Washington, where they gave money to Solyndra. Government's not good at picking winners and losers, nor should it be picking winners and losers. That's not an area government should be involved in, is using taxpayer dollars to give to these businesses to come in. We've got good things going here in Greene County that businesses should love to relocate here, and we just got to work hard to get them here.
I would work with the partnership, business and community leaders to bring industry into Greene County, and I would do it vigorously. The market is very competitive at this time. We've just got to get in there and dig and compete for this industry, because we're not the only ones that's struggling to bring jobs into the counties. It's all over the country. That's what I would do.
Jobs are one of those major things that the mayor has to always be looking for opportunities, along with the individuals that he works with in the private sector, out in other businesses and meetings and things that the mayor's attending. He has to be the face of the community. And Eddie George, when I was at middle school, used to always promote and say, it's the best middle school there is. And that's because he believed that, and you have to believe that we're the best community and be out there promoting it as such. New jobs are one thing, but retention is just as important. Keep those jobs that we have. Go out and talk to the business leaders that are here. What's going on in your business? What's going on in your industry? How can we help you keep the jobs you have here, but maybe bring more? Maybe there's a DTR subsidiary that's looking to relocate, or something with John Deere. So we have to always be looking at what we have here, I think, first. Keep the jobs here. And second, what is out there in retail and other things. We talk about Chick-fil-A. A lot of these businesses really have a checklist that you've got to meet their criteria before they'll look at moving to an area. And is there just some little something that we might be missing out on? We have to be enthusiastic about Greene County and let people, whenever we have the opportunity, know we're enthusiastic. We have great things going on here. And you circle around, we've got infrastructure, interstates, gain power, water, so we just need to be out there promoting us for what we've got. Well, first, before we go out and get any business, I think if the business is gonna look at us and see what kind of mess we're in. If we don't clean our house, ain't no business gonna come to this town. So first, we should address the issues that we have at hand, so we can attract new business, and we would get jobs. But if they were to look and do their homework, they're not gonna come to this town, because we can't even manage our own money. Why do they want to come to this town if we don't manage our money? So, first and foremost, we got to take care of our town and stop all this wasteful spending. And business will come if we clean this town up.
As mayor of Greene County, Tennessee, I will clean this mess up myself. I've got 500 companies wanting to come to Greene County. And with 500 companies, this town will be a presidential town where we'll have revenue coming for the next 50 years. That's the key to this mess we're in. And this, I'm ready to handle the mayor's position at the present time tonight.
Mr. Ferguson?
One simple word, team. How do you grow Greene County? Work with the Greene County Partnership, the town of Greenville, the town of Mossine, Bayleton, and Tuscaloosa, as well as with the county commission. Something that I do have a little bit of business experience with is industry. I've been in just about every industry in Northeast Tennessee and Southwest Virginia. Let me tell you, this is not an issue that's just a Greene County issue. There are counties throughout the Northeast Tennessee area that are begging companies to come work for or come into their counties. I would provide that leadership, and I would be a team leader, obviously for our county. I think that there are many stakeholders in this, and if you count one out, you're doing a big disservice to our entire county. Something that I would consider also is a purchasing agent community committee. And what I mean by that, our existing industries have purchasing agents that see the needs for their particular industry. And sometimes they see needs that we could possibly bring into Greene County and develop and nurture as far as ancillary businesses that we could bring in. So I would approach it from really a team approach.
Could I have the question one more time?
Absolutely. If I can find the question. As the mayor of Greene County, what would you do to help bring jobs and industries to Greene County? And what emphasis would you put on industrial recruiting and economic development?
Okay, here we have U.S. Nitrogen, we have Miller Industries spending money in Greene County, we have John Deere expanding. I think the Greene County Partnership has done a tremendous job. I think they're operating at a high level. As Greene County Mayor, I just want to be a catalyst for a continuation of that. You need to be a cheerleader for those things that are going on like that. When you have large corporations and companies bringing that tax base to Greene County, you want to be the attaboy kind of guy. You want to encourage that type of people that are already performing at that level, and they'll really show you what they can do. So that would be first and foremost in my mind, is to be a catalyst for the continued growth and the continued importing of large corporations. But at the same time, we don't want to forget the small businesses. I'm a small business owner. And if you think this county wasn't built on small business, think about your grandfathers and your grandparents. And my grandfather was a tobacco farmer, and many of yours was. We share these same core values, the same things. And I would love to see small businesses encouraged. And the county can grow through small businesses, even though that will be a smaller version of what we need. Every little bit helps.
Mr. Ferguson?
Thank you. 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 Thank
We've now completed going down 8 questions and 8 candidates. And we have a question that has been submitted from the audience by a number of people. What we're going to do at this point is I'm going to ask that question on behalf of Ron and myself. We'll start with Mr. Yoakley. We'll come right up the table. Because we started with Mr. Arwood going down. When everyone has answered that question, it will be time for the closing statements by all the candidates, 2 minutes each. And we will again start with Mr. Yoakley because we started with Mr. Arwood on the opening statements. And after the closing statements have been completed, it will be time for Judge Bailey to come back to the lectern. So let me ask this question that has been submitted from the audience by a number of people. It has 2 parts. It's about volunteer fire departments. It says, how do you plan to support the volunteer fire departments in Greene County? Second, do you support a fire tax of 1% to go to the county volunteer fire departments?
Well, I want to tell you one more experience. When I was a legislator, we were able to bring $100,000 back, each legislator, and distribute it amongst nonprofit organizations. The first batch of my money went to every single volunteer fire department of $2,500. I had about 30 or 40 of them, and most of my money went to the volunteer fire departments. Ladies and gentlemen, that's an investment that we need. These people are actually contributing to society for no income. Basically, all we're doing, I think, in the county is basically paying their insurance. It lowers our fire insurance premiums if we don't have them. What would happen? I mean, it's an investment that returns itself many times. All the fire departments are having fundraisers and everything to pay the other expenses, to buy their equipment. I really think we need to fund those, and without that, we're going to pay more in the long run because those people are working free for you and me. How would I fund it? The 1 cent, that's the first time I've heard of the 1 cent tax. Again, I'll have to be elected county mayor and get in there and work with my commission and see what the feelings are. But I'll tell you this, I do support our fire departments, and I think we should jump right in there and make sure they survive and get some of the things they need. We're not giving them anything, they're giving us a lot more, and I assure you that. Thank you.
Do you want me to reread the question? The second part of the question was, do you support a fire tax of 1%?
Cliff Shelton again. Finally, an easy question. This one is, as they say, a no-brainer. Our volunteer fire departments are an essential part of our community. I live in the Camp Creek community. I was there for the tornadoes. I saw firsthand what the volunteer fire departments, and they responded from all over the county. It wasn't just our community out there that people showed up. There's that volunteer spirit within all of those people that are volunteering. They are providing a tremendous service for our county. To fund them is not going to hurt the budget. I do not believe. I do not believe it's going to hurt the budget. I really don't see how that we can incur any further taxes for the citizens of Greene County. However, the volunteer fire departments have always been able to fund themselves to that extent. If we can get donated items as far as equipment, things like that, which has always been the case, I think it's a wonderful thing. But we cannot, if we have to do some funding of the volunteer fire departments in this county, it is such an essential function. It's so important to the people of this county, and they do provide such a tremendous service for us that we cannot just simply let it slide by the wayside. we will have to do what we have to do. And as citizens of Greene County, we've always stepped up and taken care of things like that. And I don't believe that this would be any time that we would be cutting any funding for them. I believe we will continue to sponsor the volunteer fire departments.
I may be the only person up here on this panel that was a volunteer fire department member. I'm a life member of the Mossheim Volunteer Fire Department. There are many nights that volunteer firemen get up at 2 o'clock in the morning, they go to a structure fire, they come home, take a shower, and go straight back to work at their day job. They back their trucks in their driveway at the end of their day so that they can make a speedy exit to get to your house. Are you kidding me? We have got to support these guys, no matter what it takes. They risk their lives, they spend money from their pockets to protect our lives and our property. They lower our insurance premiums because of their ISO ratings. We have to do whatever we can to support the volunteer fire departments in Greene County. I consider that an essential government function.
As government function, Mossheim is applying for a new fire department. As project director of the regional mall that's being developed, I am aware of the First Tennessee Virginia Development District, working on that with the mayor. And the main thing is, all fire departments should be top choice federal funding under a grant from the government in Washington, D.C. All departments in Greene County should be funded by a grant from the Senator's office in Washington, D.C. upon the grant filing. That will be done within the near future. We are going back on that, as well as the police department will be enforced in Mossheim as planning and everything is going on now. My time with that, as well as other things, we've got to get the infrastructure in place to get everything in line with TDOT and the agriculture erosion of the Lick Creek Valley area. That valley must go federal funds for top fast structure on job development. Because we've got 75 clients right now waiting to come into Greene County. Thank you.
Foremost, I am a volunteer firefighter. I've been fighting fire for over 20 years. I know what an SCBA is. I know what it costs. I know what turnout gear is. I know what it's like getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning, going on a structure fire, then having to go to work, wasting your own gas to drive back and forth to college. So yes, I know what it's like, because I am a volunteer firefighter. I've been doing it for over 20-some years now. So it's very expensive. These guys only get $5,000 from y'all, from the county commission, and our mayor gives them only $5,000. That's not it, won't even cover turnout gear or air packs. These guys are underfunded. We need to give them whatever they need. We purchased a truck that cost over $400,000. So $5,000 is just a drop in the bucket. These guys need more support than they're getting. So let's give them some more support. This is a very expensive business that they're in. So we have to help these guys out.
Well, it's good to see the passion that the volunteer fire departments have because of you guys work here and showing your passion. You know, that's why you do it, is because you believe in what you're doing and volunteer that. You know, this is kind of one of those things that we get criticized for spending out of our fund balance, but that's how we've been spending to support the volunteer fire departments. And we need to continue to support it. I talked to Chief Holt for a minute, talked to Chief Folks, and also spoke to an insurance person. And notice in my letter that I had it be catastrophic if the volunteer fire department ceased to exist. And some of the things we think is, you have a small brush fire that these guys come out and take care of, could easily spread and take into homes and other things. So it's got to be funded. When we talk about no taxes or anything else, but somehow or another, if it's a 1 cent tax or whatever, we've got to do it. We've got some things, it's getting harder and harder to recruit volunteers for anything. It's getting harder for volunteer fire departments. U.S. Nitrogen is going to be helping with a training center. That will help with some of the training that they're going to be getting to help improve that. But we've got to support volunteer fire departments. Mr. Shelton said all you had to do is look at tornadoes and see what impact they had there and what they have all the time showing up to catastrophic events and are willing to do it on their own at their own expense for love of their community. And thank you guys for that. Sorry, and gals. I have to say that generically, okay?
Okay, since I've been on the county commission, I probably need you to support the fire departments. I know from personal experience, they've helped my fire insurance premium go down, and I'm going to go one step further than, did you say 1% or 1 cent?
Well, 1 cent on a dollar, 1%. But it's 1%. The person who wrote the question said, do you support a fire tax of 1% to go to the county volunteer fire departments? Perhaps that person means 1 cent on a dollar. I'm not sure.
Okay, yes, I do support a 1 cent fire tax for the fire departments.
All right, the funding with the fire departments, if we're not funding the fire departments, we're going to be looking at some issues with premiums, things like that. I know there's, places that look more toward a type of insurance where they pay, there's been issues there. But when we look at volunteer fire departments, they're cheaper than paying for, professional fire department that's going to cover the whole county. They're spread out, it will get to your house a lot quicker, and they do just as good of a job. Now, as far as the 1% tax increase, I can't support a 1% tax increase, but there's places in the budget where we can cut and make sure that, fire departments do have funding. We've got a lot of non-essential services in government where we're just putting tax dollars. We've got more essential places like police departments, fire departments, our emergency personnel, those types of things, where those dollars could go.
I'll clarify something John said, and I didn't mention it earlier, that the questions that we received from the audience are worded in different fashions and different ways. We've included those in some of the ones that we had. You may not have heard them verbatim or word for word exactly as they were written, but we did have several that asked about economic development jobs, had some that asked about education, the one that John had about the fire department. But as a matter of introing our final comments, I'll ask the one question that everybody in here wants to know, and I'm sure you'll sum it up. These are your closing comments. The question is, why should I vote for you? That's why everybody is here tonight, to find out for the closing comments. We will go in reverse order. We'll start at the far end of the table. Eddie Oakley, you'll have 2 minutes for your closing statements, and then we'll just come up to the table and we'll introduce each one. Mr. Yoakley.
Thank you. First of all, please look at last Friday's paper. I've got a lot of the qualifications that I feel that I have that make me a good mayor, not that wasn't presented tonight. Our community is going to face some very difficult and tough challenges during the next 4 years. As your mayor, I will provide a strong and effective leadership that will address the problems in a professional manner. I'll work with the next commission in a nonpartisan team effort to improve our community's position. I will work to build transparency and trust in county government. I believe my professional experience that I have in life, local government, as a local government official and a state government official, and an understanding of knowledge that will benefit me as your mayor in Greene County. I'm very proud of my community, and I want to represent it as the Greene County mayor. I was selected to serve on the committees that I served on in the legislature due to my prior experiences in local government as elected official. The leadership in the legislature selected me to be on and actually chair some of the most important committees in dealing with the government and state and local issues. Now that I'm running for the mayor, the knowledge I've obtained on those committees will benefit my capabilities as your county mayor. I inevitably ask for your vote and support to be your county mayor in the August general election. Thank you.
Closing statements with Cliff Shelton.
Good evening again. Once again, I'd like to say thank you to the Greene County Partnership and for everyone that's involved in this and in providing this exciting forum and this opportunity for us to get a chance to talk to you and give you our opinions, give you our thoughts. I think I would make a great mayor. I think I share, as I mentioned earlier, I think I share a lot of the values, the same core values that many of the citizens of Greene County contain. I share Christian belief. I think that's important. You know, we tend to overlook that thing. But it is important in Greene County. It's still an essential part of Greene County. And I'm looking forward to see the people all the new people that we elect on this commission. Again, I've met these people out there on the road. I've seen them. I see their desire. I know I have the same desire. I have the same drive and ambition. Yes, I have the background. I have the Bachelor of Business Administration. I have the major in management. I have the real-world experience. I've worked for large corporations and balancing budgets. All that's wonderful. But you've got to have the drive and the determination. And most of all, we're going to have the persistence. And I believe that we're going to have some tremendous opportunities. Yes, we're facing some challenges. We are facing some challenges. But I believe that the citizens of Greene County are quite intelligent. And I believe you're going to elect a great group of commissioners. And I hope that you're going to elect a great Greene County mayor. And I hope and I pray that you'll vote Cliff Shelton for Greene County mayor.
Mr. Brad Ferguson.
I would also like to thank everyone involved with making this night possible. I think this has been very informative. I've learned more about my candidates, the other candidates tonight than I've read in the paper. But thank you, Ron, John, Radio Greenville, Brian, Judge Bailey, Chucky Open, and the partnership. I decided to run for Greene County mayor for one simple reason. That's to serve my community. I owe no other political favors. I don't have any hidden agendas. I simply want to see Greene County be all that it can be. Again, I have the values, I think, of most of you in here. That hard work, honesty, and integrity are what gets you ahead in life and are what to be expected of every person in the county. I have the vision to see Greene County remain and continue to be the best place to live and work. And lastly, I think I have the leadership skills to listen and learn and lead by example. I am Brett Ferguson. I'm a Republican candidate for Greene County Mayor, and I ask you for your vote of support.
Eddie O'Brien.
My name is Eddie O'Brien. My plans are, number one, my debatable decision is, do y'all want this revenue building project that I've got coming? If you do, vote for Eddie H. O'Brien, your Greene County mayor next in May. Thank you, and have a great day, and I am honored to be your participant in this major crisis, as well as other facts and
got over 25 years of combined leadership skills between where I work down at Crown Tonka, where I am a team leader, and also where I'm a volunteer firefighter. I've been a captain in that department for a little over 15 years now, so I've got over 25 years of combined leadership. The reason I chose to run was last year when we voted down a wheel tax, we got smacked in the face with a land tax increase. And I was told by several people there wasn't nothing I could do about it. Well, I'm going to prove them wrong, because I'm attempting to do something about it. I have no affiliation with any other group. That's the reason I believe I'm the best candidate for this job. I have no ties to any group, any sheriff's department, school system, so I would look at everything with an objective view.
David Crown.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to come here tonight, and hopefully some people have heard and seen things from the candidate that will help you make a better, more informed choice. Looked over some of the qualifications. I've been active in the community for years. A lot of people know me, know the things I stand for, and tried to think of some little short acronym that I thought would help, in promotion of my campaign and myself to help people know. One of the things I bring to government is honesty in government. You may not like some of the things I say, but it'll be what I believe will be necessary to move forward in the next 4 years. I'll be open to all citizens. If you look at my history of where I've worked, and being open to everyone's opinions and trying to work together as a team, I think I bring that to our commission. Productive outcomes, working with each department head. What can we do to improve the value for our tax dollars? Enthusiastic for Greene County. It's a great place to just get up and look outside and see the beauty of our country. I hope you'll look at all the qualifications that I bring and evaluate me seriously. Hopefully you'll be able to support and vote for me in the primary and then ultimately in the general election.
Lloyd Hood Bowers.
After you sift through everything that has been said here tonight, it boils down to this. The man you put in the mayor's office is going to have a thick skin. I proclaim to you that Lloyd Hood Bowers has a thick skin. I will say yes when yes needs to be said, and I will say no when no needs to be said. Thank you very much.
Josh Arwood.
Well, I'm the constitutional conservative candidate. I'm the only candidate up here talking about the Constitution. The Constitution still matters. We want to complain about what's going on in Washington, D.C., so they're not following the Constitution. We need to start doing the same thing right here in our local government. I'm the only candidate who has said no to all tax increases. If you're looking for someone who's serious about spending, if you're looking for someone who's serious about no tax increases, I don't think you have to look any further. I'm consistent on cutting spending. I've given you my ideas on how to open up government more. I've given you my ideas on economic development. I've explained these things. I'm more than willing to answer any questions you have. I'm very direct, tell you where I stand on the issues. You don't have to guess. Some of this room I've talked to before, others I've not. If I've not gotten a chance to, I'd be more than happy to talk to you. But I'm not one of these who's up here running on who I am. I'm not running on my name. I want to be a candidate who runs more on substance. I'm running on what we, and that includes you, the taxpayer, I'm running on what we will do here in Greene County. If you need to contact me, find out more about me, you can visit my website, joshuarwood.com, or you can even call my home number, 426-8522. I'm willing to be open right in front of you. I'm going to be your servant if you elect me. You don't have to guess where I stand. If you want someone with thick skin who's going to be there and vote the way that I'm telling you right now, if you choose to put me in there, that's what I'll do. Thank you.
On behalf of the partnership, I'd like to thank everyone for joining us tonight. We have a tremendous crowd. I think that shows the interest of all Greene County citizens in this year's election. We hope that you feel more knowledgeable about the candidates' positions and platforms on the issues. I want to thank each of the candidates for joining us here this evening, and we wish them the best in the election. I also want to thank John M. Jones of the Greenville Sun, Ron Metcalf of Radio Greenville, Brian Cutshaw of the Greenville Sun Online, and Chuck Yoke High School and the Greene County Schools for the use of this facility. We hope everyone has a safe trip home this evening. And let's give the candidates and the moderators one last round of applause.